Right. Fuel pumps, electronic fuel injection pumps in the tank with a carbureted setup. Yes, it can be done, but you have to go about it a certain way. So let's say, for example, the Walbro 340s are pretty cheap now, $100. You get a 340 liter per hour fuel pump, or the Amazon special, the Kemzo 340 an hour liter per hour pump. You can get one of those. That is what I had since the very beginning when I was fuel injection. That is what I ran. No problem. 3/8 return. On a carburetor, you do need a good fuel pressure regulator. If you have something as high, something that outputs that much volume, you do need one of these fancy ones, and you do need the return to be at least minimum 10 AN return, which I think is like a 5/8. So, you know, this one was good if you're running the EFI pump and you're running like naturally aspirated. When I first started, I had a free flowing exhaust out the bumper, so it didn't require as much fuel. And I was running it at 3 psi. The fuel pressure was at 3 psi and a 10 psi wastegate spring. That equated to, what is that, 13 psi. This thing only handles between 3 and 12 psi. It is boost reference 1 to 1, but the issue with that is that I was over 1 psi. This thing kept up. It never left me stranded. It never ran the bowls empty. It kept going. The real issue began once I started, when I put a full exhaust on it 3 years later. So no longer could I. This is where float level and fuel pressure have to be done at the very beginning. I did not know this. I set it to 3 and that was it. That was enough for me. It worked. I hit boost every time. It was always at 11.8 at wide open throttle. It ran great. The problem with a full exhaust is that there's more restriction. At least mine is more restrictive, and the reason for that is because I have a GT45, and on top of that, it's a 3-inch downpipe all the way to the back because 3 inches is the only thing I can fit through the frame rail. So when I took it out, it was, the same as it was with the free flowing exhaust. It was 3 psi, 10-pound wastegate spring. So guess what happened? I drove it. As I was getting into boost, it would cut off because it would go really lean, and the reason for that was because the fuel bowls were going low. So what? So you see these old Holley videos. They tell you with the double pumpers and stuff, the side plug. So you take the side plugs off, you set the float to where it's right under the side plug. You rock the car, and a little bit should trickle up. If you look at the new brawlers, the new QFTs, they're all Hollies. If you look at those new ones, they want you to set the float level at the center of the glass side plug. So that means more fuel. So if you look at the Night Rancher videos as well, in a couple occasions he said flip it over, the seam line of the float, just line it up to the side plug. That's what I did. Obviously, when I took the hat off and I looked down there, making sure that the boosters weren't leaking. If they're leaking, that means that the float is too high. And, if they're not leaking, then you're good to go. Next step, Holley recommends 5 to 7 psi. Between 5 and 7. 5.5 is what I choose to go now. Again, the Night Ranger told me this. So 5.5 is what I go now. Then I took it out, and at this point in time, I had already put a 5 psi wastegate spring in it, and it hit boost. It hits boost like nothing. The fuel stays in the bowls. It stays filled, and my AFR ratio is good at wide open throttle. The problem here is that I don't want to run 5 pounds of boost. I want to run 10. So 5.5 plus 10 is 15. This thing doesn't do that. It might, but I'm not going to risk it. So the next best thing was I wanted to buy this one, an aeromotive 13301, between 3 to 65 psi. So this works as an EFI regulator as well, but I don't have $192. It is boost reference. You can use this in 2 different ways. It comes with a spring for low pressure, so between 3 and 20. So you got a lot of room for more boost. So what, 15.5, that's 4.5 right there. So you can run, what is that, 14 psi of boost. The GT45 in this situation for me, it's not going to do very good, so I just keep it at 10. And that's what it is. But the thing about this video is where I want to get at is that a lot of parts are coming in from China, which is cool because that means cheaper pieces for me. Here it is, 13301. It's the same one I have right here. Check it out. So I was looking through my old videos and I did use this, but at the time I had a 3/8 return, so I don't remember if it worked right. I'm gonna go through the trouble of putting it, taking the fittings off of my old one or my good Mallory regulator, and I'm gonna try this one. I'm gonna put it on there, and I'm gonna see if it's good. I'm pretty sure I can start at 0, then free flowing, then slowly ramp it up to 5.5. If it does that, it'll be a good sign. And if not, then this video just works all the same to tell you that don't buy Chinese crap, or at least things, knockoffs. But I did talk to the seller here, and he said that our stuff is just as good as the original, and it works, and it does everything the original does. So I'm gonna go off of that. But I do remember using this. I did use it. Of course, the car wasn't boosted yet, but I'm gonna try it. And just so you know, is that I also a couple years ago I did buy this for 174 on eBay. This one says Holley, but I'm not spending that. When I got mine from eBay, it was 174. They're 125 now. They got to be coming from the same place. And this is all right with me. So this is the one that I bought. It's cheaper now, actually. So, there's nothing wrong with the bigger stuff. But this right here, took a hose and blew into this, and it does move. So the vacuum, the boost reference does work. So I'm just going to try it. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, then I'll just stay boring at 5 psi wastegauge spring. But if this does work, I'll be able to go back to the 10. So either way, we're all gonna get value out of this video. Hopefully this works. And check it out. It even says aeromotive on it. So hopefully that's a good sign. And if it does, for $30. Makes it more affordable. The more affordable you can make your hobby, the better. I'm gonna go swap out the fittings now, which is annoying because I also got to put sealant on them.